They get all the 5-star recruits and have all the nicest stuff in the world, and they just think they don't stink. There are people that have such a high ego that need to be checked. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. What about that? But it kind of goes back to this and the question everybody's asking. Well, okay, Chip's not the greatest, but who are you going to find better than Chip? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you like college football and you like drama, this might just be the perfect video for you because there's so much chaos that is about to ensue and is currently brewing in the college football world. It seems like this tends to happen every single year at the midway point through November. In today's video, to say we got a jam-packed one, that might be understating it. We got not one, not two, not three, but 4 topics to go over. One of those including UCLA with the strange firing of Chip Kelly, but now reports are coming out that, oh, they didn't fire him, he resigned. What's going on there? Another topic is Iowa State. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. Iowa State, one of their players has called out Texas. And we also got to talk about the breaking news that just came out about undefeated James Madison. Get your popcorn, get your snack, get your favorite meal you like to eat when you watch a video, because I do the same thing. And all right, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, I'm going to say this in the intro, but we got a lot of new people coming to the channel and just old people that have been watching and you're not subscribed. So if you are enjoying the content a little bit and you do want to see some more college football videos, consider joining. We'd love to have you here. Our community is just a bunch of guys and girls that like college football, some other sports here and there, and that's pretty much it. If that interests you, consider subscribing. If not, that's cool too. All right, let's get on to the first topic. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. Like I said, we got 4 to go over. You know what? Let's start out with this Iowa State and Texas situation first. I got tagged in this a couple of times on Twitter, and I thought it was interesting because I don't see too many other people talking about it. For those of you who don't know, Texas and Iowa State, they play this Saturday. And Iowa State's left guard, he said, quote unquote, it's going to be one heck of a farewell present. We've beaten them 4 out of the last 5 times at home. They don't have a good record here. They get all the 5-star recruits and have all the nicest stuff in the world, and they just think they don't stink. There are people that have such a high ego that need to be checked. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. What about that? And that's an interesting fun fact. I didn't know Iowa State has beaten Texas the last 4 out of 5 times at home. So it comes down to this. Can Iowa State pull off the upset? I think they got a shot. As far as it goes for the game itself, I don't know if it's just me, but this feels like a game where Texas, they could struggle, and heck, they've struggled the past few weeks. Outside the BYU game, what is it? They've blown something like 3 straight 20-point leads? I think it goes without being said, Iowa State is definitely fired up for this game. It's their Super Bowl. We'll have to see what happens there. I do want to share that, though. Watch out for that game. Moving along here to our second topic. This is arguably the main topic, if not the biggest topic of this video. What's going on with Chip Kelly? Well, about a day ago, reports came out, right here, I'll just show it to you. UCLA is likely to fire head coach Chip Kelly after the USC game. And when I first saw this, my immediate reaction to this was probably similar to yours. I was confused and I was asking why would they do this? It just doesn't make any sense because I thought Chip Kelly was doing a pretty good job there considering what he's working with. It's UCLA. You're not going to do too much better than Chip Kelly. And a lot of people in the comment section, they're feeling the same way. Check out this comment. Who the heck is UCLA going to get better than Chip? Another one. I honestly thought he was doing well there, and that's what I'm saying. Here's a pretty good comment though. Somebody said Chip Kelly in his tenure at UCLA as a head coach is 33-33. No bowl wins and awful 5-27 record against teams who ended with, wow, I didn't even know that. 5-27 guys against teams with winning record. So pretty much Chip Kelly, he wins the games he's supposed to, but he can never win the big ones. But it kind of goes back to this and the question everybody's asking. Well, okay, Chip's not the greatest, but who are you going to find better than Chip? That was a conversation everybody was talking about. But then yesterday, late last night, I saw some rumors stating that Chip Kelly, this is one of those things where he's told the school, oh yeah, I'm resigning. Let me clarify on that. That's not confirmed. Those are just some rumors I've seen floating around. And I could believe it because I've also seen some people stating that Chip Kelly might head to Mississippi State. I don't think that's too far-fetched, but what do y'all think about this? Let me know in the comment section. Let's say that Chip Kelly's not resigning and UCLA's just deciding to fire him. I want to know your thoughts on that. I guess they're just tired of mediocrity, but it goes back to this, can't harp on it enough. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sure, Chip Kelly isn't a Nick Saban or Kirby Smart, but you don't know if your next head coach is going to be worse. I think a lot of people, including fans, have this huge misconception where they think as soon as they fire a head coach, it's going to be better. But A lot of times it's not. A lot of times, and we've seen this with Tennessee the past 15 years, you'll take a couple steps backwards. I could talk about that all day, but we got to move along here to our third topic of this video, and this is no other than James Madison. Well, here we are. For those of you who don't know, James Madison just officially moved to D1 football this year. And they are sitting at an extremely impressive 10-0 with 2 games to go. Why is this a big deal? Why am I talking about it? Because for those of you who don't know, James Madison, they can't compete in the postseason. The NCAA has this rule into effect where you can't compete for a bowl game in year 1 after transitioning over to D1 football. And I remember hearing about this rule a couple years ago, and my question was similar to yours. Okay, why is the NCAA doing this? What's the point of it? And it does make some sense as to why they do this. They put this rule into effect so teams don't try to jump up and back and forth from D2 to D1 to D3, D2 every year. You see what I'm saying? Okay, that might have been a terrible way to describe it. Let me dumb it down even more. The NCAA has a postseason ban into effect for teams that transition over. So teams like, for example, James Madison, whenever they transition over to D1 and they go, oh, I don't know, 0-10, they can't be like, okay, we're going to go back to D2. And then let's say the next year they dominate D2 and they're like, okay, we're going back to D1, and you just continue to do that cycle. This way, with the NCAA putting this into place, their logical thinking is, okay, it's going to limit that from happening. And unfortunately, we're in this situation where James Madison has just completely dominated and they're not even going to make a bowl game. So what did James Madison do? They tried to appeal in this and they sent in a waiver request for the postseason. And of course, to no surprise, it didn't shock me. When they sent it in, I knew it wasn't going to get accepted. The NCAA denied their request. Essentially meaning that James Madison can go 12-0 and it doesn't amount to a hill of beans to the NCAA. They're not going to play in a bowl game. I think we're all in the same boat on this. It sucks, and I hate it for the kids. They're getting punished for no reason. And yet again, guys, I understand why they have these rules in place, but this is why we have waivers. The NCAA should do the right thing and say, you know what, James Madison, they're having a great year. They're an exception to this rule. They're going to get to play in the postseason. The NCAA had an opportunity to make this right, but they didn't. And I'm going to ask you a question. Let me know in the comment section. Are you shocked? Like, seriously, man, what is the downside of letting James Madison play in a bowl game? It's beyond ridiculous to me, and just thinking about it, it frustrates me, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But I do want to bring it up because that is some big-time news in the college football world, and some sad news at that. But now, finally, moving on to the final topic, the fourth topic of today's video, we got to talk a little bit about the college football playoff. Now, I'm going to talk about this too much, and we'll probably make an entirely separate video on this next week. If you keep up with college football, you know how crazy the current playoff situation is. Normally, around this time of the year, we've narrowed it down to, all right, there's about 6 legit teams that have a shot at getting in. But this year has been the one oddball because right now there's 8 teams that have a great chance of getting in. And those 8 teams are Georgia, Little Bro, Ohio State, Michigan, Cinnamon Rolls, Washington, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama. Missouri doesn't have a shot, and I would also give Louisville a decent shot as well because they do play Florida State if they win out. And if Louisville beats Florida State, they would definitely be considered for getting in. But we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. That's not what I really want to talk about. What I want to talk about briefly in today's video is something that everybody keeps mentioning me in, and they keep asking me, yo, Matt, what if Alabama wins out? Is there a possibility they don't get in? Yo, Matt, if Texas and Washington and Florida State and the winner of the Big Ten wins out, that means Alabama won't get in because Alabama's not going to jump Texas. The amount of people that have tweeted that at me and sent me messages on Instagram about that in the last couple of days has been at least over 100. Look, man, I get it. I'll be the first person to tell you. If Texas wins out, Alabama won't get in. That's just the cold hard facts. That's not to say that Alabama currently isn't a better team than Texas, because I think they are, but Texas is more deserving, and we all know how the CFP works. They put in the 4 most deserving teams, not the 4 best teams. If it was the 4 best teams, Alabama would have got in last year over TCU, but I digress. Anyways, getting back on track here, everybody's talking about how crazy the playoff currently looks, and I get it. I got a bunch of my buddies texting me 24/7, asking me about all these possibilities, and I tell everybody the same thing. If Alabama wins out, we're getting in. No need to worry. And it's the same thing for Texas and all these other teams. I believe you control your own destiny. Why do I believe that? Because chaos will ensue in these next 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to happen. It seems like we find ourselves in this position every single year. Everybody's freaking out because it's like, oh, we got 8 to 9 really good teams up for the playoff and there's only 4 spots. And what happens? A bunch of these teams, they lose. I don't know who's going to lose, when they're going to lose, but trust me, a couple of these teams in the top 8 will lose. The odds of all these teams in the top 8 outside of their individual matchups with Alabama and Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, winning out are slim to none. I can say this confidently. If I'm wrong, I'll come back and make a video on it. It's going to play itself out. Trust me. And a lot of people haven't even considered this. Alabama has a great shot of losing to Georgia. They will be the underdog in that game. And also, Alabama plays Auburn on the road, and Auburn is peaking at the right time. There's a great chance that Alabama could lose to Auburn. There's also a great chance that Texas could lose one of their next couple of games. Florida State, they play Florida. You never know how that game's going to go. They could lose in the ACC championship. If you're a fan of one of these teams, I'm not just saying it to say it. I believe it. Don't even worry about it. Focus on your team, win and you're in. That should be your motto. Now, once we get to championship weekend, we'll start to talk about some of these scenarios a little bit more, but there's 2 weeks left. A lot can happen. That's my thoughts on that. And also, while we're at it, somebody sent me this a couple minutes ago, and I thought it was a interesting tweet. So somebody tweeted out, is Georgia guaranteed a playoff spot even if they lose to Alabama? That's really fascinating because I'm going to remind y'all, Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC Championship a couple years ago and got in. And they're the number 1 team. Could Georgia somehow fall from number 1 to number 5? Is there still a scenario where Georgia and Bama can both get in? Let's take a look at it real briefly here. This video has already been super long because we've had 4 topics, but there's just so much going on and to talk about. As to where it stands right now, Georgia has, I believe, only 2 top 15 wins. They beat Ole Miss and they beat Missouri, but then if they beat Tennessee, that'd be another top 25 win. Would that be good enough to keep them in the top 4? Well, it goes back to this, like we already talked about. I think everything's going to play itself out, so we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, right now, I would say no. Georgia has no shot if they lose to Bama, but you don't know what's going to happen. They for sure, though, would need some chaos to happen. They would need the winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game to lose their conference championship. There's a lot going on in the college football world, and it's getting me excited. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But, Robin!